Today we paint the character of Lucy Carlyle, played by Ruby Stokes, in the book series turned Netflix show of Lockwood Co. And this did not exactly work out like I wanted it. But still, please stay with me, because I think it actually looks pretty nice as a video. I'm not in love with the end result. It works actually better as a video than as a picture. And I'm not just saying that because I don't want you to click away. So as this did not turn out how I wanted it to, let's take this opportunity and talk about how stuff like that happens, and that it's not the end of the world. So let's get started. A quick disclaimer during editing. I recorded the audio for this video directly after I drew the picture, so I was really frustrated. So what follows might be just the frustrated ramblings of a strange man, but I kinda still find it even a little bit funny, so I hope you do too. So I just keep it like it is. And here we go. If you are already a subscriber of my channel, you might know that I am normally drawing right now a series with pastel colors, so all my pets, in a very colorful way. The last one is still missing, but the last one will be very hard for me because that's my cat that's no longer with us. So yes, I'm a little bit stalling, but it will be coming, I promise. But back to this one. I did plan this quite differently. Even the video part, even the commentary, I wanted to really talk about the series, Lockwood Co, which seems to be not that small as I would have expected. I did not see any coverage actually in all the other media I consume, so I thought perhaps it's just an outlier. But when I went back and looked into some of the scenes that I wanted to incorporate in the picture, I saw that at least in my area it is in the top 10 of series, so it doesn't seem to be so small. Might be the book series, I had never heard of it before, but there is this book series out there. So I wanted to talk about that and the story and what I enjoyed about it, and also one or two of the things that I thought, were perhaps a little bit formulaic, but I really enjoyed the series. I wanted to talk about it, and now this picture came out of it, which makes me want to talk more about why this came out of it and what I actually wanted to do. I was really considering not even posting this at all and just put it under failure. But in the end, on my channel, I also want to show you what did not work perfectly well, because that is just the reality. If you are doing your own art, you know that you can fail, and why not talk about that? That is just something that happens in your process. And again, yes, I am aware that this is not the ugliest picture ever. It's just not what I wanted it to be. So let's probably start to talk about what I wanted it to be. So if this sounds like it comes from a point of frustration, it very well does. And you might understand me a little bit better if I explain to you where this picture was coming from, or where it should have been come from. Is that even English? I'm not sure. I'm not a native speaker, so I'm sorry. Anyway, this, you have seen the thumbnail, I'm pretty sure about that. You do not see the full picture here yet, but you have seen the thumbnail. And so you know what is the result. And would you have expected that that came from a plan that originally screamed, in my head at least, minimalism? I don't think so, because this is just a very, very full picture. There is a lot going on, and it's a full face and everything, and all that was not supposed to be. So my initial inspiration was minimalism. What does that mean? I mean, even here you already see it is a fully formed portrait again. You see all the contours of the face, you see parts of the hair, there are details in there. So originally I just wanted to draw some eyes, the nose and the mouth, all of that, yes, in ink, as I did also here. Everything else, somehow it just grew. It just seemed at that point in time necessary to me. Every additional line I was feeling like, oh, this does not work if I don't add that line. Oh, that now does not really work if I don't add this line. It's kind of a scope creep. That's a term you normally use in project management, for example, in the IT business, where you say, okay, you do not have a fixed set of things that you want to implement. There are some new ideas and you just keep adding stuff onto it, and therefore you never really finish. It's quite the same here with this image. I really felt like that, and if you ever felt like that in a picture, let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear about your experiences in that regard. So what was my mistake here? It is not necessarily that you should stick to your plan, whatever. I mean, art is a process, and it really depends also on what you're doing, which medium you're using. If you're doing flow art, there is a lot where you have to let yourself go in the process, where you have to work with the paint and let the paint decide stuff for you. You have to be flexible there. With something like this more, where I really planned it a little bit more out, I did not plan it enough out, and I just got unsure of where I wanted to go or how to reach where I wanted to go, because it was not really smart of myself to just take those decisions based on the couple of lines I had on there for the eyes and nose and mouth and everything. Because I, from the very beginning, wanted to add the color. This one color, the green, yellow-green, whatever. But the lines were never the complete picture. But I let them really rule over my decisions. I wanted it to be coherent without being a full piece. And that doesn't make too much sense. So that was one of the things that came out of not having planned enough. I knew I wanted to do it minimal. I wanted to just have some portions of the face. I had not fully decided which ones when I started drawing. And I also did not 100% know where the colors go and how. I mean, with watercolor also, there's a little bit of things that you have to let the color decide for you, and you try to gently persuade it to do what you want. But it's much more, there is much more control that you have than in some other medium. So yeah, I should have had a better concept here and then stick to it just perhaps a little bit more. I mean, the same goes with the color. It is just that one color, or at least that one direction of color, and I still wanted to get a little bit of detail in there, especially with those story parts. I would call it actually story portrait. Perhaps I find a way to make it better, because I like the idea of bringing in some things from the series, from the character, some deciding things, just some additional motives, like this, that little amulet down there in the corner on the lower left. Some of the ghosts, it is about ghosts. I did not even tell you about that because this picture just riles me up so much. The ghost at the top, it does not work 100%. I think it works okay in the upper right corner. In the left, I would have to explain to you why it is in a box here, because that ghost is in a box or in a little container. But anyway, we're not talking about the story here, just the picture. And yeah, that's also the color part, which is actually not the worst part. So why not let us also talk a little bit about what works with this image. I think actually the coloring and all those parts come across really well in the video, so what I said in the beginning, I really mean that. I think it looks quite good in the video. I also recorded it in 4K if you are able to watch that on any of your devices. I think for this one it really is a good way to watch it. It works quite nicely. I think you can also recognize her face if you know who I drew. At least she is kinda recognizable, looks a little bit younger, but still. And also the shading in the face and all around, it's not terrible. Yeah, but it all comes back to what I have been saying for the last 7 minutes or something. It's not what I wanted, it's not what I expected, and that's where my gripe with this comes from. And yeah, that might change in the coming days or weeks, that I look back at it and tell me, oh, it's not that bad actually. But yeah, when you're an artist, I think you know what I mean and how I feel about this. It's just sometimes frustrating to not get to paper what you have in your head, because you love what you have in your head, but you don't necessarily love what ends up to be on the paper. And this is just one of those cases. But I will stop my ramblings now, and I would kindly ask you to let me know how you deal with these kinds of things down in the comments. If you're an artist or have those experiences in any other regard, do you produce videos in a completely different direction in YouTube, and you sometimes don't like how they turn out because they don't match your vision, or any other parallels? How do you cope with that? Because that is something that's quite at the forefront of my mind right now. You might have noticed. Let me know how you cope with those things down in the comments. And that's the story of my very first story portrait. I think the concept might work if I do it differently. I mean, this is not a complete disaster, but it's not what I wanted it to. So I will never be really happy with it. But that's just me. I hope you still enjoyed it. As I said, I think actually the colors and everything work very well in the video, so I think this is a valid video, if not the artwork that I wanted it to be. But there might be another try in the future. If you don't want to miss that, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Every thumbs up is really extremely appreciated, just like comments, because both show YouTube that this is not a bad video and perhaps get me a couple more views. I would be very thankful for that. But that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching and have the greatest of days. Goodbye.